subject like caste discrimination in Hindu society. I'm told we are joined by Utsav from the United States. Utsav, if you are getting me,
yeah,
you spearhead the Hindu Action Group, which has taken objection to this Seattle resolution. Please tell us the background, why the Seattle municipal body has even bothered to listen to Shama Sawant. Is she that important? And if yes, what is the background? Why caste discrimination becoming an issue in the United States in the first place?
So caste discrimination is not actually an issue in the United States. And this has been proven by a survey by Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, University of Pennsylvania, and Johns Hopkins University, all independent scientific survey, that says that caste is actually the lowest reason for identification and discrimination in the United States amongst the South Asian communities. So it is not actually a reason. But the reason why this has been brought is because Shama Sawant is trying to fish in troubled waters and create and bring fault lines from the Indian subcontinent into the American society, because that will force Indian Americans to identify themselves by caste. So even though this whole resolution is being presented as an anti-caste resolution, it is quite the opposite. It actually will force Indian Americans to start looking at their caste and therefore bringing the divide into the American society here. So it is actually meant to do exactly the opposite of what it says.
Let's try to understand. I think you're not getting me. Utsav, listen. Let's try to understand. Just because race discrimination, racism might be a little more in the United States society does not mean there is no caste discrimination. There might be some element of it, might not be that pronounced. Because you quoted two studies which say that caste discrimination is less vis-a-vis others. Obviously, it could be less because the Indians are less in number. The issue is, you are suggesting that this is being done with the ulterior motive of getting focus on a subject which has consequences for India's image, how India is perceived in the United States. Is that so?
Yes. First of all, the survey was only done amongst Indian Americans. So that, that's why it is scientific in that way. But the goal here is to actually force Indian Americans to be identified specifically on the basis of caste, thereby actually adding a layer of discrimination in America. Because the American laws already address all forms of discrimination. You don't need to add caste into it because they are already all encompassing in their redressal. So by doing this, you are actually adding a layer of identification in the Indian American society and the South Asian American society that will increase discrimination rather than decrease it.
It can't be. It can't be just one individual doing it, Utsav.
Yes, no, it's not.
So Shama Sawant is already. There might be some people who perhaps generally feel that this is an issue to be addressed.
I'm sure there are perhaps, but you have to look into the background of those people and where they come from. So the survey that this organization, Equality Labs, is using, that Shama Sawant used in this resolution, is actually done by a professor of Pakistani origin. And this professor is very much linked with the Pakistani military intelligence, the Kashmiri separatist groups, as well as other anti-India groups operating in the United States. Yes, please.
Would you identify the professor, the Pakistani origin professor? That's interesting because you are saying that this is something about caste discrimination. This is about the Hindu society and a Pakistani origin professor. So ostensibly from the majority religion in Pakistan, that professor conducted the study and survey. And based on that survey, the Seattle Council has passed this resolution?
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. And that survey has already been debunked. In fact, the survey from Carnegie Endowment that I'm quoting, that actually says that caste is really low on the discrimination category amongst the Indian Americans, that survey has specifically said that the Equality Lab survey that was done by this Pakistani professor has actually no validity because it is a snowballing survey where people who did not identify their caste were actually removed from the survey itself. So it's a non-scientific survey that is being quoted.
Then it has
been proved in 2020
then I'm
itself.
afraid
But despite
then
that,
I'm
Shama
afraid
Sawant
why
is
you have not done
using
anything to stop the resolution from getting passed. What are the other Indian community, Indian American community members doing? Because this might have been in the making for a while. This might not have happened over 48 hours overnight. Did you act beforehand to do something about this?
Yes. So there has been thousands of emails that have gone to the Seattle City Council. But the way this whole, because Shama Sawant herself is one of the council members, therefore it is much more easier for her to bring this resolution. You have to remember, the same individual had brought a resolution on Jammu and Kashmir against India. And also the same person brought a resolution on NRC and CAA against India in Seattle City Council, in the same council. So it needs to be understood that this has nothing to do with either caste or discrimination. It is everything about targeting Indian Americans and singling them out for special scrutiny, which is illegal in America, using the bogey of caste, because that's a fault line that they know can be used against Indians, both in India as well as in outside India.
Okay, tell me, what is the impact of this resolution in Seattle? What happens now? Does the Indian community now, individual Indian Americans there have to identify their caste in forms, or for example, whenever they apply for something? What is the impact of this resolution on the community?
So as of now, the resolution will only impact the city of Seattle, which is just a very small city. But it sets a very bad precedence, because now any person of Indian origin, they may not even know what their caste is, because most of the people, second and third generation Indians in America, don't even know what caste they come from. Now they will be forced to identify what their caste is, number one, and they will be scrutinized on the basis of that identification, which is illegal, because now you will suddenly find that a Satya Nadella or a Parag Agarwal will have to answer questions about their caste before they are appointed to the position of CEO or a director of a company. That is illegal, and that sets a very, very bad precedence in Seattle City.
All right, that sounds a little dangerous if it's going to happen there in the United States. So hope the authorities take note and perhaps the Indian community there can galvanize. If these are going to be the consequences of this action, then, galvanize and mobilize at a level where this does not happen. Utsav, thank you so much for joining us from the United States on this very important story which concerns India's perception and how India is seen outside of the country. And on that note, we move on to the next story.